Hey!
Live from the vendor hall.
Yay! Hey, everybody!
From the vendor hall at AQSG Center in San Diego 2022.
Yes,
We're here
indeed.
to Julie Silver,
Hi, everybody.
Merikay, Barbara Blackman, and Debby Cooney.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Okay, quick sound check. I'm gonna pop into the chat, and I'd like somebody to tell me if they can hear me. Can I get a thumbs up in the chat from anybody in the chat? Click the little icon
Hey.
Can you hear in the chat. Can you hear us? Just let us know you can hear us. Pop a little comment in the chat, smiley face or something, so we can get started. Yay!
Yay! Everyone can hear us. So it's our focus now is.
Awesome. Okay, we're gonna start with Barbara. Barbara, tell us what
I am going to go to my friend Sonia Cord's booth, and she has a pretty interesting quilt. And we're going to talk to her. So let's hop over to her booth.
All right, let's go.
So you can come over here.
She's got a photograph.
Is this the one?
Yeah, shows up nicely. Doesn't it?
Really nice.
So, what do you know about this, Miss Dear?
What I know about it for sure is that it came from Columbia, Missouri. But I don't know who made it. Columbia, Missouri.
Columbia, Missouri.
Whoever she was, I think was was very insightful, very talented. She's got some really beautiful kinds of applique here. I also know that in 1934, Ruth Finley did a similar quilt and published it in Good Housekeeping. I don't know if this woman was channeling Ruth when she made hers. It's a similar idea, but maybe you know more about what Ruth Finley had in mind.
Well, channeling and reaching go hand in hand. She was a psychic.
What's she really, Barbara?
Yes, yes, she wrote a book about it.
Uh-huh.
But I immediately saw this because it is so striking with the black background. It's cotton sateen, so it reflective too. And there was a real fashion for using sateen, although I have tried to quilt through it and it is no fun. Through sateen, it's real dense. Well, it is not Ruth Finley's quilt. When we first looked at it, Merikay and I, who know a lot about Ruth Finley, we realized, and Xenia told us, it is not the same pattern that was in Good Housekeeping. So Ruth Finley, if you don't know, was a very important quilt historian in the 1920s. She wrote a book in 1929 that was the second book written about quilts, and it quite defined what quilt history was. To our everlasting frustration, because as I said, she was a medium, and I think she made a lot of stuff up. So anyway, and we have complained about her before in previous episodes, but I have always admired her. I lived right by her before she died, but of course I didn't know her, in New York, and she was from Ohio. Her ancestors were from Connecticut, and she was just a good writer. And wrote quite a bit for magazines. Now, at the time, the standards for truthfulness were pretty low, and you had to make an entertaining column, and she was good at it. She'd make anything up. And we still suffered. 13 quilts for the wedding. We never found any evidence of that. Things like that. But she says in this article in 1934 in Good Housekeeping magazine that she has designed a political quilt. And she goes on about political quilts, which is our standard history, that, there were quilts named for Abraham Lincoln and quilts for William Henry Harrison. And she does exactly the same thing I do, is to take history and fit a quilt into it. But I try to be accurate. Have a footnote or two. So she talks about political quilts, and she said ever since Abraham Lincoln, there was no more political quilts named for anybody, which is, we're all, yeah, Ruth. And, but she said this time, and it was 1934, Roosevelt had been in office for maybe 6 months, a year, and she decided that she would make a Roosevelt rose, and that's what this is based on. Now, it is not the same pattern as Ruth. You could order that, I think, for a quarter, maybe, from Good Housekeeping. And that was in the depths of the Depression. And perhaps this unknown maker didn't have the quarter, or perhaps she was a lot like some of us who just get an idea. And rather than just getting the pattern and copying it, she thought that is a great idea. And it is. It's a great idea, the black background. And Ruth, the whole quilt is made up of yo-yos.
Yeah,
you don't know
up
that
close.
until you see one.
Yeah, right.
And they're kind of wonderful. In fact, some of them have fussy cut layering underneath. Now, Xenia says, this is more graceful than Ruth, and I have to agree with
I
her.
think so. Yeah.
I think Ruth Finley's stems are very stocky
Yes,
with the little yo-yo at the end. And there's a lot more going on in this quilt.
yes.
Some of the applique is something other than yo-yo. And
Yes.
some of her yo-yos are filled and have little faces in them. There's
Yeah.
all sorts of stuff
They're
going on.
fussy. And tiny, some are quite tiny. Well, now Ruth's quilt had a scalloped edge and a pink, like a set-in border, not a border really, but just a line. And this woman has echoed the colors, certainly. Ruth said that she made this quilt. Now, I talked to Ruth's family. I never saw another quilt Ruth made. I don't know that Ruth made the
Right.
Roosevelt rose, but I've always loved it because I've always been a big fan of Roosevelt. So I've always wanted to make one. And I think this one, I might modify it, but that's a lot of yo-yos.
Yeah.
too. So what do you guys think about it?
Well, this is in Good Housekeeping magazine, and this is the magazine that Ann Orr of Nashville, Tennessee, she was a national, she wrote for Good Housekeeping once a month. And this is an unusual case where Ruth Finley has the byline right next to Ann Orr's pattern that month. There it is. And all in color. And anyway, I think I remember that Nancy Cabot in the Chicago Tribune published this pattern in a different, and I always thought that she had seen the one in Good Housekeeping and then put together something in the Chicago paper that people could make that kind of, well, was simplified. And this one really isn't. I kind of think we're looking at something that somebody made, exactly what you were saying, an original.
She got the idea from probably saw it and did it on her own.
Yeah.
And if she saw the quilt or even the magazine article, but didn't have a pattern for it, she just said, I can make that, and just went ahead and did it.
And did an awfully nice job.
Yeah, beautiful.
The black is really so unusual for the 30s, but it really does set this off and
Did
makes
the original have, I can't see it from here, but did it have more elaborate quilting than this?
I don't think you can see much because it's black.
You can't tell because it's black.
Yeah.
I see.
That's
Oh.
really flawless.
And what's the back like? Somebody want?
Well, someone going.
I will.
We're like,
It's black. Wow. And the binding is pink.
it's not very spectacular quilted. It's, I think, a grid.
You can really see the sheen on this from the
But in
setting.
1934, a lot was happening. What was new, the Depression was a terrible economic circumstances. But this whole idea of pastel fabrics was new too, because they did not have the printing and dyeing capabilities until about 1930 to really produce pastels that didn't fade away. And the idea of combining pastels in different colors in one print was also very novel at the time. So this was, standing. Well, just the absolute new fashion at the time, as Roosevelt was.
Do any of you remember when Virginia Gunn gave the paper about?
Microphone's closer to the mouths, I've been asked.
Okay. Do you remember when Virginia Gunn gave that paper about Bed of Roses? And it was these yo-yos date back into the 19th century, but they were probably white and they were decorative. They were trim.
Trim for underwear. So,
Mhm.
and I've seen many petticoats that had little rows of yo-yos. It was inexpensive and kept you busy.
All right. Shall we go to the next?
Well, I'm intrigued by the black background, of course. And I don't know why, but I associate it with the Midwest. If anybody's going to use black sateen, you think of course, Amish in Ohio, but there was a closed community, so they wouldn't have spread their preferences much. But here is this black background Missouri quilt, and is it more common?
No.
No,
No?
not that we know of. Now, we say that without throwing a study.
What
Or without our computers.
Yeah, that's right.
But what I'm wondering, that's a really interesting association, because the one thing that makes me think is that black fabric was available because the Amish were buying so much of it.
Well, that could
That might have,
Yeah.
That might be, and that might be what a woman's dress might look like too.
Look at yes. Yeah, look at this black and right next to it. And it's Amish.
There you go. What a cool association.
Somebody say that into the microphone, repeat that.
Yeah. The black and orange basket quilt is an Amish quilt, and it's signed to David in the border. I need to look and see.
We
what
don't
David-
remember.
But it would be Midwest,
Yeah.
whereas the Amish in Pennsylvania, particularly Lancaster County, almost never used black.
Not
But
yet.
so much of this black was around.
Look at that. Look,
And this is black sateen as well.
Tara,
Yeah.
look at that.
Sorry,
There's
we're
the-
having some comments that the microphones are not.
I know we're not good at this.
This is black sateen also, and it's dated 1907. So there's some
There's-
history.
There, it was available.
Okay,
All right.
All right.
we tested these microphones before we came on, guys, so they should be working. So maybe check your device volume on your phone or your laptop or your iPad. And then if that doesn't work, please pop another comment in the Q&A.
And we'll try to talk first.
Shall we go to the next one?
Yes.
I think it's, yeah,
Yeah.
pretty.
So can we, in the meantime, just use this one microphone that Julie, I'm sorry, that Julie and
There you go.
have? Maybe this one.
All right.
All right. Okay. There we go, guys. We will do what we can with that. And here, all except Barbara. Okay.
And again, if you want to contact Brenda about this.
Yeah.
Are you wearing
Well.
Oh, that's nice.
We'll have the floor. Okay. Well, this is a quilt that I just think is wonderful, and it's in Kathy Liston's booth. And Kathy, tell us what you know about it.
Well, I know very little about the history of it because I bought it from a California dealer who had bought it at Nashville. I bought it about 30 years ago. She probably bought it 20 years before that. So it's one of those quilts that has passed through multiple hands and will be forever a mystery as to the family that it belonged to.
When I see quilts like this, I immediately think New England. The New England states just seem to have produced a lot of these especially in the about around the 1840s, maybe a little earlier. But it kind of seems to me that this is the point where the block style really started to predominate, and this kind of seems like a celebration of, I'm going to give you block styles, and I'm going to do it in the fabrics that I really love, and chintz and very handsome prints, very bold prints are something that I really want to emphasize. And look what she's done here. She's put this chintz fabric in here. It's a bird print with lots and lots of foliage. It's in that color palette that seems to come up in the 1840s of all olive green and brown. And I think Xenia would agree with me that this is probably a Bannister Hall, because very similar to some of the other prints of Bannister Hall I've seen. But it also just encloses these wonderful, look at this green here, just spectacular looking green. Handsome Rococo prints like up here. Stripes in the same block, just very bold and beautifully patterned. And that one is it half and half?
Yeah.
Yes, that is melding together. But then we've got these Rococo prints from there. I would say that most of these prints, even at this point, are still imports. And look at these bota floating around on that nice teak colored background. We do have little ditzy florals, a little too high up to get, but stripes that were so popular in the 30s and into the 40s. But here's some nice florals here. So maybe prints from all kinds of different sources, but all unified with this wonderful chintz. And we were talking earlier about whether these are seen in the mid-Atlantic, and I somehow don't associate them with the mid-Atlantic that much. I don't think I see them too much in Pennsylvania, and if they are, they may be just brought down to be sold. Maryland does not have a tradition of block prints quite like this. Marylanders love chintz, and they kept using it up into the 50s, but by then it was mostly just borders. So New England does seem to me to be probably the origin of this.
I just wanted to ask about how many prints there are in these colors in this quilt that are not deteriorating. There is that one section there, and I wondered if you would talk about, or somebody would talk about dye-related deterioration and why we see it so often, but sometimes we see quilts with all these browns or matter prints that are not deteriorating.
That's right. That's right. There's only one here that seems to be in that kind of shape. And I don't know enough about dyes.
That works. All right. It's blue. All right. Well, I'll say it again. Oh. And it will yell at the phone. We'll just go over and talk to your phone. All right.
Okay, guys, we're ditching the mics. We had tested them, but
Yeah.
okay, I will put the mics back in. We're getting reports from the peanut gallery back here. I'm going to take a minute to troubleshoot this.
Yeah.
Just now, right now? Okay. Thank you. All right, everybody. So it's working now. We have disconnected the mics. We apologize. I apologize. We did test the mics. Anyway, Barbara, can you repeat about the start over?
Can you hear me if I yell? All right, that brown that we looked at is probably dyed with madder and then mordanted with an iron salt. And iron has a tendency, as I said, if you remember your car from the 50s, to rust. And that's what's happening there. The fabric is interacting with the oxygen in the air, and it's rusting essentially. Tendering is more the textile term, and then it deteriorates. But there are many ways to get brown, and some of the others might be another dye. There were many dyes, many ways to get brown, but it also may be that everything else was newer, and that might have been a recycled piece from clothing. So although she bought new fabric or she used new scraps from sewing for most of the blocks, that one might have been something recycled. It also might have other things in it. Now, see, if we had our Lynn here, she would look at this and tell us, what other things. A lot of costume linings were very fragile.
Kathy, did you put the,
No, this
put-
is as,
this is
as I got it.
so this
I
is
don't-
some kind of protection on,
Yes, and I was looking, it seems like it could be removed. I think
Yeah.
I think the quilt is underneath there.
Yeah,
Right.
I can almost see
You
that.
know, and but then that binding piece, does the binding continue on right
yes, it
on?
looks like the top is
So it
turned
might
over.
be,
protection.
pretty original to the time
No,
because
no, no,
no,
no.
no, later.
Beard
Yeah,
guard.
it's a beard
Beard guard.
guard.
Yeah. Okay.
And, and again, look at the binding on this. It's from the back to the front and it's very tiny. That's markedly. Really. I just love these. We don't see these in Tennessee.
Really narrow. Yeah.
But I love the chin. And it's fun how she's cut just really, this is scrappy. This is, I mean, there's not really even trying to, I don't,
She does alternate dark and light in the
Really?
4-patch.
uh-huh.
Yeah, in many of them, and some of them are, closer in value, but she does attempt to match side to side in where she can.
And the other thing to point out is that I often think of these as having not very much quilting. It's very utilitarian and not very many stitches per inch. And that shows this too. I just think they're great. Okay.
Well, quilting certainly would have been lost in this. There's just too much pattern on this to
Right.
really show up any kind of quilting. And it's just pattern on pattern on pattern, like those later artists.
I want to say one thing about the regionalism. We all say, well, we didn't have them in Tennessee, we didn't have them in Maryland. You have to remember that that probably is a Bannister Hall print or a copy of it made in England and shipped to the United States. And those shipments went to specific places. You see chintzes in Baltimore that are very different from chintzes in Boston. So this might very well be this is called I think the pheasant and plum tree, because those are plums. And someone wrote can't remember who, wrote an article for Blanket Statements about it once. So anyway, it might be that it was just very regional and popular in New England.
And available.
I have seen this very print in York County, Pennsylvania, but not the rest of the design, just the print, and it's used as border and setting squares in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And anybody who's here is welcome to come take a look at it during the vendor hours. And if you're not here, you could contact Kathy at klquilts@aol.com.
Thank you.
Thank you,
All right.
Kathy.
There's a
Thank you.
longtime vendor here. We really appreciate
Oh, thank
our
you.
vendors who come all the time. Thank you.
Yes, I especially as a newbie amongst these know-it-alls, vendor hall is one of my most favorite things because I get to be up close and personal to quilts that you would not otherwise be able to be up close and personal with. So
Well, one of the great things about AQSG, of which there are many, is a vendor room where the vendors are bringing their very best and rarest quilts because this is such a sophisticated audience. So you're looking at things in here that you probably wouldn't see anywhere else, and certainly not in the numbers of
No.
great quilts that you're seeing in other places. And here's one that's owned by Jane Lurie of Labors of Love. And Jane, I would like you to tell us what you know about it. It's obviously an album or sampler quilt and has names and dates on it. So tell us what you know.
I don't know very much. Unlike Kathy Liston, I've owned this very briefly and I've been away, so I haven't had time to research it very much. It's a New Jersey quilt. It came out of a collection, and there is one in the DAR, and there's one somewhere else of this group. I know, Deb Kearney, I think you know something more about this than I do, and I hope you'll tell me. But there's some really nice signature blocks on it. It seems to have been a family who were related to each other. This is the center. Actually, you can't quite see the corner here because I don't have quite enough space, but it's dated 1842 and it's in amazingly fine condition. There's almost no damage. There are Burberry press pieces. There's piecework. There's probably applique work, although not
And
any
complex piecing in there too.
complex piecing. Yeah, let's
What a
pull it out.
fabulous block.
whoa, let me get back here a little bit so I can get the full.
Debbie.
Wow. Yeah.
Debbie's gonna tell us.
Well, when I first saw the picture of it, it just said to me, New Jersey right off the bat, and Quaker, because it's just got everything that those quilts tend to have from that area, from New Jersey and across the river in Pennsylvania. especially when you see these dark and handsome prints that might have even been dress fabrics. Most of them seem to be furnishing fabrics, but the design of the blocks are just so New Jersey, and the diagonal set is just something that they love there. Just construct, and yes, and you see these kinds of blocks, the Caesar's Crown and some of the others in New Jersey, early New Jersey quilts, and it's the one at the DAR is very similar to this, and IQM has several that are in this category, and Carolyn Ducey, of course, did her dissertation on these Quaker quilts, and it fits perfectly into that, and
I can't do anything about
oh
that.
dear, but it's frozen on a great one.
You can hear me, right? Okay. I
Keep talking.
just we gotta keep going. If we're frozen on this, we have to be frozen on it. We're inside the hotel and we're dependent on,
Their bandwidth.
so,
Look at this one, just amazes me, the size of those little reel blocks.
I'm gonna put my finger up near it so you can just get some, oh, don't touch it. Look how tiny.
I see. Is it frozen still?
Okay, I have somebody telling me, yep, can hear, image working too. Okay, thank you, Margaret. Appreciate the feedback.
There's the whole.
Yeah, can we?
1841. That's very early too for an album quilt, but we have I'm feeling more and more convinced that the album quilt was developed as friendship among the Friends, the Quakers, especially around Burlington, Philadelphia. And Jessica Nicole wrote a book years ago and said she thought they were all Hicksite Quakers, which were the radical. If you imagine a radical Quaker, the radical Quakers as opposed to the conservatives. And I looked these guys up and they were Hicksite Quakers. So
Really? And in what way were they radical?
I don't know. What anti-slavery.
Yes,
One thing.
they tended to live in cities, and they had relaxed some of the stricter tenets of Orthodox Quakerism.
And was there an actual split?
Oh,
Yes, in the 1820s.
And people would, Quakers do shun, and they would not talk to each other. People lost their families. It was dramatic.
Engagements were broken. Yeah.
So the Hicksites, and Jessica's saying that it was like sort of trying to rebuild a community, and this might be one evidence of it. So when you see a quote, the date 1841, it is quite early, and my first knee-jerk reaction would be Quaker, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, the Delaware River area.
On the friendship quilts of that time, or the album quilts at that time.
Yeah, the album.
So this is very early and pristine fabrics
It's so crisp.
and names. If anybody wants to know, this is a special quilt.
This fabric's particularly intriguing.
Yeah. I mean, it overlaps a lot of. Look, Barbara, at the some of the chintz applique. Now, that.
Is that one of the panels that you and Barbara
No,
have
well,
cataloged?
I'd see it more in the borders, I think. I don't think that's
I think
not a
it's like
panel.
print, a repeat print
But
rather
look
than a
at-
panel.
Look at the.
It's nicely
Do you
done.
think
Look at
it's
this
1830s?
tiniest
Oh, I don't know
little,
about the date on that.
let's
It's
see, get
blue,
some,
it's a full
Awfully
color, a full color chintz.
that
awfully nice.
is turned under. Tiniest little stitches. I'm trying to get it focused for you. There it is.
This one though is amazing.
That's
Wow.
pieced.
Uh,
The tiniest little
And
pieces.
This chintz applique is very interesting in how delicate it is and how composed it is. So she cut pieces and kind of put them together in a certain way, as opposed to the other one, which is one design cut out and applique.
Mm.
This is several cuts designed into a wreath and so delicate.
That flower shows up in another one over here. This white rose is over here. and the little blue rose.
Where,
Wonder what
can
the
you point
name-
it to me
right
again?
here,
Point it out. Oh, there,
1841.
right,
Yeah, here's the white rose and the little pink Glenalbin, 1841.
That's the name that's repeated here too. I think it's Glen Alden, maybe a town, maybe a township.
Look at this. Ah, this is really pretty modern looking.
This is pieced and appliques, or no, all pieced. That's all pieced.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Look at that.
Look at that.
It's almost a tile.
It is. How interesting is that?
Wow. Yeah. People have got to come and look at this, right?
Yeah.
Buy it for their own collection or some nice museum.
Jane Lurie of Labors of Love. Yeah, this is the kind of thing that you get to see here, and with us, the know-it-alls, you get to learn more about these things in detail.
Coming in here is like being in a museum.
It is. It is better than, yeah.
You can actually get up close to it.
And you can get up close. Yeah.
Most of the viewers are so well educated that they can tell you more about these things than you would get in an antique store or anywhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like a kid in a candy store. I've been invited to the circle. It's fantastic. I pinch myself just thinking about I get to be next to, oh, Julie just pinched me. That's not nice.
Look at this. Right
Get to be up close to these
Look at that.
amazing textiles.
We should go.
Yeah, we're at 4:33. We're stuck here. It's a good place to be stuck if you're going to be stuck somewhere. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right.
Okay.
So my name is Merikay and I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee. And Julie is the dealer, the owner of this particular booth.
Yes, she's not just a know-it-all. She's also a dealer.
And she, what you know about it? It's from Tennessee. It's a quilt. I've learned quite a bit about this quilt before I bought it from my fellow know-it-all and friend Mary Kay, because Mary Kay knows quite a bit about the woman who made the quilt. And the woman who made the quilt is named Helen Fleener. She was from Russellville, Tennessee, outside Morristown or Jefferson City. It's East Tennessee, about an hour north of Knoxville.
Right. And there is a body of work by this woman, maybe 20 or 25 quilts, something like that. 20th century, mid 20th century, not mid.
No, she made these at the end, about 1980, 90.
Oh, 20th century.
20th century, but not
Very late.
yeah,
20th
very
century.
late. Yeah.
Very late 20th century. And I just thought that I loved it to begin with, but Mary Kay knows so much about this woman because she got fascinated by her that I think she's the right person to talk about this. So go ahead.
I'm going to start getting some close-ups while you start talking,
Okay.
okay?
So Helen Fleener died in 2003, 4, somewhere in there. But for the previous about 15 or 20 years, she had been making a quilt just for her own pleasure. And there was a man, kind of we call them pickers in East Tennessee, was working for a very large dealer in Asheville. And he walked up on her porch and she was working on a quilt. And he said, I like this. And he took it back to Brunk Auctions. And Mr. Brunk ended up hiring her and having her make, we think there are 15 to 20 quilts. And I had never heard of her. I did the quilt survey. I lived very close to her in Tennessee. And so when these quilts, eventually Mr. Brunk decided to sell the quilts. And so the curator called me and said, would you like to look at these before they get separated? They were going to auction them off. So a good friend of mine, Linda Clausen, who used to be on the board here at AQSG, she lives in Knoxville, and we work closely with the museum in Knoxville. We saw the pictures and I said, I've never seen anything like this. And so she said, let's go and maybe we could get them for the museum. So we went to the auction, sight unseen. We sat in the audience and we had a good amount of money to spend on it. So anyway, we ended up, she bought 4 for the museum, and I decided I wanted one too. So I own one. And then there were 2 other
too.
Yeah, and I can, and you can too. That's right. And so, but we've never seen this one. Julie, it was not in the auction. I'm not sure how hers came through. It may have been through Brunk, was it? Yeah, it was through Brunk. Yeah. And but anyway, let's talk about her because I think she is so unique. She didn't, there are a lot of religious symbols on here, but she was not a churchgoer at all. There's a lot of writing on here, but she was not literate. And people ask, well, how did she do all this? There's one thing down here where she writes all over it. Well, I went to her house afterwards. After these came, the museum in Knoxville decided to do an exhibit about her. And so we went to her house. The daughter-in-law still owned the house. So walked in, she showed us, she had little notebooks, spiral notebooks, and she just copied
Letter by
letter, one after, and then transferred them to these. So there's often times where a line will go off to the end, letters will be over here. These are pretty good, but the other reason I like it is, like, what are these two little squirrels here? And and she always has, rural things, because she did live in the rural area. She loved animals. When we went to her house, the daughter said she was sitting at this chair looking out this window when she made these. And on her window are angel decals. Outside the window is a little birdhouse. And they show up on these quilts too. And sometimes, and this horse that is it's on this one and it's on mine. This pig down here, this happy little pig, is in almost all of her quilts.
He is happy.
But the horse is made out of tin. I mean, when I got there and I looked at the barn next to her house, there was that horse. It looks like a Tennessee walking horse.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you step back from this, and yours does too, there's lots of polka dots all over here. And sometimes she'll cut out, well, here she's decorating what looks like a quilt, a quilt square. You've got a lot more traditional blocks in yours than mine, but she'll just play with it. The other, oh, this is beautiful. Look at this one. This is I don't think so, but it might be a feed sack, but she's embellished it with little hearts, little reds. These are appliqued down. She made this as a unit and then put it together potholder style. So on the back of the
is on today.
she's already asked me about this. These did not make her book, but you could see the back, how they're.
So tell people what potholder style is, Merikay, for people who aren't familiar.
So
with that
potholder
term.
style is, this essentially is a little quilt. She's embroidered it. She's put the top and the back. She might have something in between, and that would be a finished whole thing.
So it's a finished edge on them, and then you put all of them together.
Put them together, and
If you took the block apart, it would be a completed little quilt. In other words, it's finished around the edge. Sometimes quilt as you go is a different technique where you make a block at one time, but it's raw at the edge.
Yeah.
And you sew it next to the next one. These are finished at the edge.
And this one too, well, the writing is really funny. This one says, this one says, all hearts come home for Christmas because there's always love there. This one, be truthful and loving, be kind, be happy, be faithful and true. Jesus loves you. Be trusting and honest, be thankful, there's one of the thing, for all you have. It's very naive. She had a very hard life. She wasn't allowed to go to school past about 6th grade. She was taken in her father married somebody else, and the stepmother asked her to essentially take care of the little babies that they were having. And then when she was older, and she married 2 men that were very nice to her. The final Mr. Fleener was pretty nice, and he sold Bible tracts around. So there were a lot of those left at the house too. So she was
Bible tracts,
meeting little
little
pamphlets, prayer of the day, scripture of the day kind of things. And she would see some of these things in there and just copy them. I said a little something for you, and I asked the Lord above to keep you safely in his care. Look at that shape. Look at this shape.
Some of these are very bizarre shapes or unique, I'll say.
And here we've got a
I don't know
bear
what this
and a
is,
camel.
what's happening right there.
Polar bear.
Where's the polar bear? Oh, cute.
Well, notice she has
He's
a lot
happy
of,
too.
on mine, there are a lot of question marks. See that one up there? And
Oh, I thought it was a snake.
on mine, there's a block that I think is her signature
Oh, I
block
see.
of H and H. It looks like a 4H block. For Helen. Now I did a what do you call it?
Oh, look.
Something. If you Google Merikay Waldwell and Helen Fleener, you'll see this 10-minute little interview I did with them, and it's more concise than what I've just.
I just
About the southernness. Tell us
Southern?
about the southern, where this fits into the southern idiom.
Nowhere.
Nowhere?
I don't. What do you think? I don't
Bible.
Oh, Bible, yeah.
The self-taught artist who doesn't really have any, the academy, she's not running good housekeeping.
Right.
I mean,
As a
Harriet
former
Powers.
reading teacher, I just cannot believe that she couldn't read after, I mean, she must have had a real serious learning disability.
But there's 100 years between, or more, between Harriet Powers
Right,
and this, and
right.
yet they have this sort of similarity in theme.
Well, and I think it's like I can do it. Nobody's telling me I can't. I'm just going to do it. And I think she was kind of focused on creating something, and she was getting joy out of this, obviously. And so they're out there, and suddenly she has become kind of an insider artist. Outsider. Outsider. Yeah. We've talked about the Jews Bend quilts, and really some people, when they first saw this, thought this was an African American quilt maker. They asked me first, was she African American? I said, no, it wasn't. So in that way,
We see a lot
isn't that
more.
fun? I know.
Can
a
I
lot
point this
more
out too?
Between Southerners of both races than we
Yeah.
do between, I mean, race is not as important as location. for
Right.
making things like
And
this.
economic class, I would think too, yeah? Or is that a stretch?
Maybe.
I have
I
to
mean,
think
the
about it.
issue about education here in this rural area, I think that really, and she was really in a kind of remote
So
area.
talk about being out of the academy. She didn't go to
She didn't go
school.
to school, wasn't allowed to go to school. Yeah. So,
Shall we
anyway.
move on?
yeah, let's move on.
Okay.
But if you're
Thank you.
interested in this one, Julie Silver, juliesilverquilts.com. juliesilverquilts.com. Let's move on.
All right. So the know-it-alls have allowed me to pick one, and I'm going to let them do most of the talking. But I have chosen this medallion in Julia's booth, and here is, she's a PK Truve. I never say it right. She always corrects me. Isn't that horrible? It's Bryn. Hi, Julia. So what can you tell me about this one?
Piece that was found in eastern Massachusetts, and a piece that supposedly was in the family as long as anybody knows. I believe it's an English piece. It's very typical to have that center medallion and the borders. What's unique about what's one of the unique things about this is that the center medallion is embroidery and cross stitch, and if you can look at the borders up toward the top, it's appliqued on with, and those little chains are embroidered piece chains that are connecting them at all.
All right, I'll get
yeah.
up close to that. And oh, that's a herringbone stitch there. And then these little chains between them. Hold on, let me see if I get zoom. Oh, I didn't mean you to phone. So it's herringbone around the edges, and then this tiny little chain stitch between the applique pieces. Look at this one. These tiny little chain pieces, chain
Symmetrical
piece
on the
stitching.
bottom.
Symmetrical on the bottom, she says.
Very,
All right.
wow.
Yeah. Look at this. And did you say about what time period you thought?
Based on this tan and blue fabric. The other fabrics are a bit earlier than that, but that one.
Oh, and they cut the bird out of the fabric and then added little red embroidered feet.
All the birds have
And then
red
little
feet.
pink feet here.
Yeah.
This is exquisite. And this is crewel work here in the middle. Look at this. Try to get up close to those stitches for you guys.
Look at the grapes over here.
These grapes and two different shades of purple to give it shadow.
This is neat to be able to get so close to these.
It's
That's all-
incredible to get this close to them. So I'm glad you said 1850 based on this blue and tan, because I was thinking it was earlier, but you know, I'm glad to learn that. Glad to learn that.
Well, Barbara, what do you gotta say?
Yeah, come on in.
Here.
Hey, look what Jane has. The linen embroidery. It's not quilted. English, she thinks. Dated what? 1795. So it looks to me and Jane.
Let's keep
like
it still for a minute so it's not making them dizzy.
Linen tends to do that. It looks to me like the center is older and very much in this English tradition of the
Oh.
basket
And the crewel work.
and the birds. And you know, there's many reasons when you are first look at this is English. And one is that in America, we confined our applique to squares. In England, they would just go, they'd run amok with it. They just put it, I wonder if that was it. Yeah, they did. And I love that freeform, but there's something about freeform placement that is so English and so American. But here we have just the perfect parallel.
Yeah.
This happens a lot when we do our little.
Perfect parallels?
Yeah, coincidences arise and one
Hold it
person
next-
knows something. and-
Yeah, hold it close to this one so we can see those two centers together. I think you guys are onto something because that
look at
same
those
work
birds.
isn't shown anywhere else in this quilt. So this center
And all these birds have
Could-
red feet too.
be, and these birds have red feet too. Wow.
Emphasize what Merikay started to say, which is that
Mm.
both within the know-it-alls, because there's 5 or 6 of us that come together from different backgrounds and different expertises, we can do what you're seeing here, which is bring to one person's choice various points of view and connections. And that happens all the time at American Quilt Study Group. That's what this
Yeah.
seminar is about, what the website is about, and our talking to each other. People who know so much or so little from everywhere come together and just enrich our experience with real information. And to me, that's one of the wonderful things about both American Quilt Study Group and the Know-It-Alls. If you don't know about American Quilt Study Group, you're getting a little taste of it, and join us. We would love to have you.
Yes.
I would like to elaborate on, we were talking about with, it might be Scottish or Welsh.
Oh, no, I thought that was your idea.
Well,
I just pointed out the feather at the bottom, especially with all the royal symbols that we've seen in the last couple of weeks. And the princess feather, the princess feather.
Are you referring to the shape?
What the Prince of Wales or Princess of Wales symbol is.
3 feathers, possibly for 3 parts of Great Britain.
Barbara, what do
Okay.
you think about, is that brown?
The brown and
What?
blue print.
Yeah.
You know, I have a file of that code, wishy-washy brown and blue prints, undated. But I think they're, like she says, 1840.
You know, there's also something else.
I don't think
interesting.
they were ever much brighter.
A scalloped edge here,
Well,
and there's a tiny little double pink
Yeah.
on the edge.
but
And
there's
more little
there's
birds.
brown is
across. Right. That is so different from, we just like things in a block.
Well, like Helen Fleener, this woman likes birds and flowers, and I mean, she's just being exuberant about it. And it's not quilted.
No.
It's a summer spread. You can see the back.
And that's very typical of them.
English.
Let's get a close up of those stitches here. Wow.
So do you think they would think of this as just like a top little cover, like a decorative thing?
Yes.
Because
They would not have slept under this.
So Julia says they would not have slept under this. I was just making sure they could hear you. How was the undulating inner vine made? Someone, Kathy Woodson, I believe, wants to know.
What is, it's embroidered.
this right here.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's crewel work
That's
too.
cool, too.
What kind of a stitch?
That's a chain.
Yeah, it looks like a chain.
Four chain stitches, rows of chain stitching.
What's going on? No, I'm just gonna. Oh, look at this.
Now they're fighting over who gets to hold that one.
Yeah.
And can we spell that for everyone?
QUETROUVER. Because piqué is French for quilted bedspread, and trouvé is French to find, but with the implication of a treasure trove.
Oh,
Found.
What's the?
Piquetrouvé.com is the website.
Yeah. Okay.
and someday I'll say it right without being corrected. I don't know.
We'll see.
We'll see. I know. I don't know why. I can't quite catch it. All right. Let's see. Is there anything else we want to hit before we?
Join. Yeah, join us. So many of them.
Yeah. Yes.
Louisville, Kentucky.
So I want to just say to everyone who might be on the fence about joining, I would never have met these amazing women had it not been for joining AQSG. So if that's any incentive. And I've learned more in the past 3 years or 4 years now that I've been a member than I could have read in any books on my own. It's incredible. You just come and just be a sponge and just listen and ask a lot of questions, and it's amazing. Yeah.
And we still like it. Well.
That was this morning. And they've been so generous and welcoming, and I think we find this true of most AQSG members. Everyone's very generous with their knowledge. Everyone wants to share what they know, and welcoming to beginners. I can attest to that for sure. All right.
We ran into a couple today.
Yeah. I think we have several new members here this year.
And I think I remember the first one I came to, to walk into a room and realize, oh my God, you're not unusual. There are people here who are interested in the very same things you're interested in. And I mean, it was just amazing. And then to walk into the vendor ball, I mean, I can't tell you, there must be 200 or 300, maybe 400 quilts
in this room that go from
98 was that? 95?
1795 to probably, or yeah, 1980.
Yeah.
So, and you see it's.
That's incredible. I mean, that's really astounding. Yes. I mean, and just to illustrate, since I'm standing right here, I helped Julia set up her booth yesterday, and I want to just tell you how in love with that purple I am. And these are flying geese with this was early 1800s, right? That's a green with the purple around. This is early, yeah? 18 what? 30s, 40s? 50s.
3, I think is what. Oh, really?
Oh, let's see what you have. Yeah.
This is dated.
And the maker's name.
And you know, women just don't show up very much in the 19th century unless they made their mark with a needle, sometimes writing their names on the quilts.
Yeah.
And that's the other great part about researching quilts. You eventually get into the genealogy and you put a name to the people who made the quilts. Sometimes they come anonymously, but you could still learn a lot of information.
I think that's
about an anonymous quilt.
so important. To me, it's almost as if we're allowing or giving voice to women who didn't have it before in some way, right? Because we're opening it back up and exposing her work to the world and saying who she was and who she was married to and who her parents were and her children were and all of those things. And this is what she made. This is what she left us.
And the excelling, we don't know who made this one, but oh my gosh, this was incredible work.
This
there.
is, yeah.
And it might be 200 years old. And
So
that's the other thing. I remember the first time I purchased my first quilt. And I felt like I had brought a museum into my house. You know, it felt so cool. At first, I thought, I don't know who made that quilt, but I can sit here and imagine what she was doing. And I loved being able to have that, you know, live with that and
be the caretaker of something so precious.
And then some people say, oh, but how do you know you got the right quilt? Well, you will know if you're a brand new quilt maker, and if something just jumps out and you like brand new quilt collector, something will hook you. It hooked me.
Yeah.
And then you have to have more and more and more.
Yes. Yeah, and then sell. And buy the best you can afford.
One really good quilt that you're in love with is better than 10 that you just kind of like.
Yeah. I've learned that the hard way.
But don't be afraid of getting one, the first one.
Yeah, and you got to start somewhere. And when I first started, the ones I could afford were the $50, $75, you know. So you start small, that's okay. You got to start somewhere. Those were heirlooms for someone, you know.
And you could do a lot.
You did.
If you don't know who made it, you learn about the life and times of the woman who made it and the people who lived around her. Some people talk about text as textiles, like we can learn a lot even when we don't know who made it and can't find out who made it. Putting it in an historical context and uncovering more of women's history through what most women in the 19th century were making.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so rich. It's never ending. I've been doing this for 55 years. It's never ending. I was telling somebody the other day, I opened a store in 1972, and my partner Linda and I said, we can probably do this for 5 years. We'll run out of old quilts in about 5 years. Because how many could there be? How many could there be?
How many could there be, Julie?
It goes on and on. It's unbelievable. And the great things that are still coming out, like James Quilt. Yeah. That is amazing. The 1841 a masterpiece that just showed up in the last year.
How come it didn't show up in my hands? showed up in hers. It could for the, that's true. I know, that's what I could do.
And yes, and Tara, once you'll be called the quilt lady of Atlanta. And they will start just coming out of the woodwork and showing up at your doorstep. They probably already have.
That's what they do.
Not yet.
Yeah, they do. Well, not all the time. Anyway, but you know that. I mean, we all know that. Suddenly they
Yes.
reach out to you and say,
Yes. And some people who are so thrilled to find somebody who cares,
yeah,
right? That's right. And I just want to say one more thing. It may sound like everything's super expensive. There are a lot of rare things in this room and a lot of things that are expensive, but there are also things, don't you have some quilt tops that are $100 or $150? And there are things for even less than that.
And fabric.
And
Fabric,
yeah,
right?
fabric.
That you can use in your own quilts if you're a quilt maker.
Well, it's the oldest thing I bought when the day I first met Julia, she was vending at a show in Atlanta, Georgia, or in Marietta, Georgia, just outside of Atlanta. And she sold me a fragment of fabric, French fabric from the middle 18th century, from like 1760s. And also I cried the whole time I was in her booth. And that's how I ended up joining AQSG, but I cried because I was so moved by all the things that I could get close to. And then when I got here, yeah, it was.
You couldn't help yourself.
I couldn't help myself. I couldn't speak when I met Barbara for the first time. She shook my hand and I felt like, I just could not put words together. It was so bizarre.
When I was a very young schmo, I used to go to Julie's store and she wouldn't even, talk to me because I was obviously just a rubber maker. Well, that might be
Oh,
I was so shy. So scared.
I have a great question from our audience from Jill. She says, are the vendors ever interested in having younger members help at shows or otherwise as like a type of apprenticeship? Yes. Yes, Jill.
We really want young people to join us because we're on our way, some of us on our way out. I mean, we just are.
Right.
And we want to pass along our knowledge.
Yes.
And get a lot of energy in here because
Yeah.
this is so important to keep going.
That's a great question, Jill. I'm so glad that you asked that. We're really, here to carry on a legacy, right? That's exactly what we're here to try to do. And that means passing it forward.
Absolutely. Yes. Did you want to say also that we're going to show this again? How do we say?
Oh, yeah. We're
Refeaturing.
refeaturing. That's what we decided to call it. We're refeaturing it on October 12th, but that'll be a separate ticket. So, and everyone here who's purchased a ticket for today's viewing will get access to the recording for our typical and standard lifetime access. Watch as much as you want, whenever you want, but you'll have to give me a chance to get back home from seminar probably first before I post this video up. Let's see. Q&A. Jill says, Jane, I met you at Penn's in Sturbridge. Oh, we can't see her. She's just putting a comment. So hi.
Jane travels all over the world doing quilt shows. We were just
Wow.
We did a show in Athens.
Oh, so are you jet lagged still? Yeah. What a trooper. It's so important. We have some of our members came. I'm going to turn this around on me for a second. Some of our members who live in Florida, and if any of you are down there right now, our thoughts are with you for sure and your families. Some of our members there had to evacuate, and at least one of them evacuated to North Carolina. Robin, if you're on here. And then she flew from there to here just to be at seminar because it's that important.
Wow.
And, yeah. All right, ladies, I
Thank
think
you.
we've
That's-
told the things for today. Yes,
AQSG is separate from the know-it-alls. Right.
yes,
The know-it-alls do a presentation every second Wednesday.
correct.
And how can they see upcoming and old episodes? Because what we do is that we've done this spontaneously, but we always do kind of the same thing. We pick a quilt, one person talks about it, and then we all kick it around like we did today.
Yeah.
How can they see those things or join for the upcoming things? Tara?
Fantastic, Julie. I will answer that right after I answer David Rower's question. And he asks, is there any way you can include all the women's names who are involved in today's talk? I'd love to be able to be in touch about the quilt. And the answer is, of course, yes. And in fact, you can go to the Quilt District, quiltdistrict.com and go to the 6 Know-It-Alls tab, or the Know-It-Alls tab as I've renamed it. And there you will see the bio for all the know-it-alls down on that page. You can also put your email address in at the bottom form, at the bottom of the page. See, I'm a little jet lagged too, so words are hard. And we will give you the newsletter every time we have something coming. As well, you can get all previous episodes on vimeo.com/quiltdistrict/VOD something. Shoot.
I thought that was impressive.
Oh, I was almost there. VOD pages. At any rate, all you have to do really is go to quiltdistrict.com, go to the Know-It-Alls tab. There are buttons there. You can go get to Vimeo and it'll go straight there. And that's the Know-It-Alls. American Quilt Study Group, go to americanquiltstudygroup.org. And I do know that. I should, because I'm on the board. And you can join there on our website and get more information.
And why don't we list the names of the dealers here who are not in the know-it-alls?
Yes.
So that people can get in touch with them.
Yes.
if they want.
How about we will send everyone's name out. I'm glad this is on the fly. We'll send all the dealers' information out in an email to our email list.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so if you have subscribed to our email list, which I just talked about on quiltdistrict.com, the Know-It-Alls tab at the bottom of the page, if you subscribe there, you will get an email with all the vendors' information. And then you can come be an apprentice.
Join us and say that this is our 19th episode.
This is our
Our
19th
19th
episode.
yeah. And that the first 3, if you are a brand new viewer, go on to YouTube, and there are 3 that are free that we did at
Yes.
the beginning. That's what, 6 hours worth.
know-it-alls.
It was, yeah, there were 6 know-it-alls.
And that's how to get there on YouTube. 6
6 know-it-alls.
Yeah.
And there were, what, 2 hours?
Yeah, they were
Right.
about 2
So
hours
there
when
were
we
6
first
hours
started.
of
Yeah.
content there.
Yeah. So you can figure out, you can watch those and see how you like it. And
And then you could look at all the others, the 15 others.
yep, the 15 others. All right. Let's have a sign off. She's putting her chair away.
Bye.
Bye.
And all the people outside of the seminar, come on in. and
No,
look.
we open at 8. No, we open at 8. Go to happy hour and come and dinner, and then come in here and spend all your money.
Why don't you end looking at this quilt over here?
Okay, we're gonna end looking at this one.
I just think there's so much pictures in there.
And Margaret says, thank you for taking the time and hassle to do this. Thank you, Margaret. We all appreciate your gratitude. Thank you so much. So we'll just close right here on, who are those? That is Garfield and Arthur.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna end on this one. They're all presidents. No, that's presidents. Oh, look at this purple. I'm having a purple fit. All right, let's see. More Q&A in here. Love the preview event. Thank you. Rachel says, lovely to see you all in beautiful quilts and the beautiful quilts. Thanks, everybody.
Did you know you can watch our previous episodes on Vimeo? Vimeo.com/quiltdistrict/VOD_pages. Or you can search for the 6 know-it-alls when you go to the main page of Vimeo.com. You can also catch our first 3 episodes, which are free, on our YouTube channel. You can go directly to our YouTube channel, or you can go to youtube.com and search for the 6 know-it-alls. You can also find all the updates and links to previous episodes on quiltdistrict.com. Go to quiltdistrict.com and then the 6 know-it-alls tab, and there you'll find all the upcoming episode information, as well as the background on how the 6 know-it-alls got started and some biography information on all of the know-it-alls. You'll also want to be sure you put your email address in here so that you can get notified of upcoming events straight to your email inbox.
And I'm harping on this because lighting is so important to understanding the seasonal rhythms of quilting in this early period and why it began to change in the 19th century.
But that's not the way we use it, just to stick it in there. And so often you will find some turkey red pieces just put in there for a little flair. Even this one has a little bit of red down there, although that's a wool.
This is one quilt that I wanted to talk about today because we just were able to add it to the collection last year. Yeah, it was on loan for many years from the family. And some of you know the quilt maker, Anna Catherine, known as Catherine Hummel Markey Garnhart of Frederick, Maryland. And thanks to my predecessor, Nancy Gibson, we now know of 10 quilts made by Markey Garnhart. And we now own 3.
Yes. Yes. And that is very interesting that it's made for the wife of a minister. And I have never heard of the ladies sewing group being called a circle of industry. So that's quite interesting. And I wonder if it belongs to that denomination, if there are others that call themselves something similar.
So I just wanted to show how the designs of these bed rugs relate to whole cloth quilt and other types of quilts. So here we have one of the foot bed rugs, and here we have a whole cloth quilt that was made by Olive Curtis Baker in Connecticut. And the stitching of this whole cloth quilt is basically pretty much the same idea as you see in the bed rug.
The thing is, and this goes back to Lynn too with the bed rugs. If we were looking at men's work, if we were looking at ceramics like graffiti plates or painted chests, we wouldn't be thinking of it as a hobby.